Well, I just want to touch on this with Robin Harris before we get off the topic.
Yes.
Because Phase on Love is a regular on my show.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he didn't like Bernie Mac at first because he felt he was imitating Robin Harris. And, you know, Faison was a huge fan of Robin and they were friends and so forth.
Yeah.
But I guess they were working on some project and, you know, Faison was kind of being sort of standoffish and so forth. And he said that Bernie walked up to him and said, look, man, you ain't got to respect me, but you're not going to disrespect me.
We all did a TV show. And before we did the TV show, the producers wanted me and Bernie to be brothers in the show. And Bernie was like, well, we got to sit down and talk because we got some shit to talk about. So he put me and him in the room, and we hashed it out, and it was really some comedian bullshit. And he told me something I always remember. He said, you ain't got to respect me, just don't disrespect me. I said, you motherfucker.
Sure.
And that was that.
You ain't got to like me, but you ain't going to disrespect me. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
It was rough for Bernie because when Robin did the first house party and then Bernie did the second one. Mm-hmm. And me and Robin were not close until 2 months before he died. Mm. And I remember his Bebe's kids. If you listen to Bebe's kids, I was the one who introduced him.
Bebe's Kids, you talking about the cartoon or the actual
There was
skit?
an album called Bebe's Kids.
Yeah,
Robin
right.
has Bebe's Kids.
His
That's
routine
my
about
voice.
It. Oh, okay.
Because even though we didn't like each other, I loved it. He didn't like me and I didn't like him because I thought he would just do disrespectful shit to comedians. Like he would you go to comedic theater and he would do 30 minutes an hour before he bring you on. Like for me, if the show started at 9, Robin would bring me on at 9:25. It was over at, it started at 9. He'd bring me on and he'd be over at 11:30. He'd bring me on at 11:25.
5 minutes before everyone went home.
He would do it all the time. And I was determined, so we didn't, and then when we got to know each other, we really liked each other, respected each other. And he was doing the album at the Birdland West, and that was my joint. And I was the only one there, and I said, I'll do it. And I introduced him. And we were close after that. Then a couple of months after that, he died.
Well, I can tell you this, out of all the people, the 1,000+ people I've interviewed over the years, Robin Harris is the only comedian I know that actually made people throw their outfits away.
Yeah. Based
Based on how badly he would clown them on stage.
Yeah.
I remember John Sally said he had a pink suit.
Mm-hmm.
He walked in. Robert has look at this tall Pepto-Bismol bottle up in here. It went on. John said he went home and threw his suit away.
Back when I first wanted to do comedy, man, this is '87, and I'm just gonna go to comedy. I go to see Robin Harris. I think I tell the story. I got on a pink outfit, all right, pink shirt, linen, pants go with it. And I walk in and Robin Harris said, look at that tall bottle of Pepto-Bismol. Glad I got up. I had rented a Rolls Royce too. I walk outside in Leimert Park. I get in my Rolls Royce. I drive back to Central City. I throw that outfit in the garbage.
I saw him do it to Eddie Murphy. I saw him doing the Wayans brothers. I saw him do it to if you was big, he did that to you. They say he made the mountain come to Muhammad. All of the stars and all of the agents came to the comedic theater, which Michael Williams started, because Robin was the center of, he started the beginning of what would become this explosion of black comedy. Robin
Really?
Harris.
You would put Robin Harris at the epicenter of that?
There's no question.
Wow, I've never heard this before, but obviously you know.
Of course.
Wow.
There's no question he started. And the only reason that Russell Simmons got Def Jam is because Michael Williams, who had the comedic theater, wouldn't do it.
Huh.
He thought it was very short-sighted at the time, and this is not me speaking out of school. If Michael had have done it, it would have been a different thing. And that comedy exposure started in the West at the comedic theater, not in New York, but because Michael didn't do it, Def Jam got on, and the Comedy Act Theater was kind of a replica history. But Robin Harris started this comedy explosion.
Hold on, I'm going to see if I can FaceTime Russell Simmons real quick and ask him this, because this is actually an interesting question.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, let me answer.
Russell, what's good?
Just rolled over. How you doing, Vlad?
I'm good. Hold on. I got D.L. Hughley here. I got D.L. Hughley here.
I think I'm giving up meat and I'm coming to Bali.
A good choice.
I'm not doing either of them, but I still love you. I was telling him that when Robin Harris was the center, the epicenter of black comedy. He was the Moses. It could have started at the Comedy Act Theater, but Michael Williams was so short-sighted, he didn't get it, and you did. And that's why Def Jam became the thing that it was.
Robin was the reason that we did Def Comedy. And he's the inspiration. I've seen some comedy shows, and it was just starting to come into my concept. I wasn't as focused on it as, of course, Bob Sumner was. But then I went and saw him in Crenshaw. On Crenshaw, I was like, I got to do a show. He was so good that when I left, I was determined. HBO was laughing. We were like at our ideas, and everybody was laughing at the idea of the show. But I was very determined, and Stan and I both, of course, right? And eventually, we were lucky enough to do a show, and then ended up Eddie Murphy recommended Martin.
Yeah,
I was going after Eddie, after Robin, and I went to Eddie's house. And he was like, Eddie, when you go to his crib, he play with the barbells, right?
Yeah.
His waist looking at me like, nigga, you pump ass nigga. Are you fucking kidding me? You think I'm gonna work for you? And, he's like, I'm gonna do what? Like, nah.
Yeah.
He said.
Do you remember when?
Like, he wasn't disrespectful, but I'm saying the way he said, me? Like,
yeah.
I'm a host of comedy.
And Russell was the one who saw it. Michael Williams didn't. He didn't get it. He went to Comedy Act Theater. Michael didn't get it, and Russell immediately got it.
Well, there you go.
Robin Harris was the Moses of black. If Robin Harris begat all these great comics.
I learned something new today.
See?
I learned something new.
He opened the door for us in the regard that he was so big. It was like, I had this conversation with these young rappers, and I feel really bad. So I'm glad you're saying this, because it could turn out, and it does a little bit. People don't remember. They remember all these giant superstars. They know D.L. Hughley. They know, Martin and Chris, and, they know all the big stars, right? They don't know Robin in the same way that rappers don't know DJ Hollywood.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been no rap records without Hollywood. Without the Wood, there wasn't no rap records.
Do you remember what you told me one time?
And I see these stories, huh?
You remember what you told me one time? I was like, man, something. And you said, man, you got to stop being so hard on yourself. You talked to me for like an hour. And I was like, oh, man, I didn't get this right. I got that right. He said, man, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. And you talked to me for an hour. An hour. And I was like,
well, that was a long time ago.
I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. It's this and that. And they said, man, you need to get the fuck up and act right. You know what you're doing. You a bad motherfucker. You watch what I tell you. That's why whenever I can't say what somebody else's relationship with you, but I know, I'm like, all I know is this, the nigga I know, that's, nobody ever takes time out to see that somebody wants to be something and nurtures them anymore. That just doesn't happen anymore. And so I'll always remember that.
Let me say this. I just saw a commercial. I don't play on Instagram lately. It's a dangerous place. It hurts your heart.
It does.
Your heart. The amount of pain that's being delivered to black men, especially men who have a chance to maybe change society and are threats to our society. And I feel, as I watch them fall, heartbroken. So I look at things that I see. I saw this commercial with 50 Cent and Jay-Z for Reebok. I remember how I looked at it like it was nothing, because I was so busy selling hundreds of millions of dollars in sneakers. We were changing the world. And they had that commercial that was hot fire. I just seen it just now. It's like fire. I mean, unbelievable. 50 and Jay-Z camaraderie in building was G Unit and Rockefeller in a commercial that was aired nationwide and a lot, maybe even Super Bowl. So there was a big economic shift in that business because of that one commercial, and they took it like it was nothing because it was the way we were moving. You know, when 50 and Jay-Z came together to change and get 10,000 black men out of jail to the Rockefeller drug law rally, Hillary Clinton came and a bunch of people came, and when I promoted that rally, not one soul came to see none of those political figures, but over 150, maybe 200,000 people came to threaten the governor and shift the way we thought about those laws, and then eventually we negotiated a deal. There was such a growth and partnership and camaraderie in hip hop, and the number of people who were active leaders, that it was unbelievable. And what they could have done and what they could still do today if they worked together and if they loved each other, it would be a phenomenal political force and social force for us, especially as some of them are speaking about positive content. So it's just disturbing to me. So I'm just sharing that. I probably shouldn't be talking about it.
Well, I tell you what, you'll always hold a place in my head that is unassailable, and I think.
Thank you.
I mean, it's goofy that you don't eat meat, but okay, I'll forgive you for that. But here we go.
Suffering of 200 billion animals are made to be born into suffering. Not born, but made to be born.
Okay.
Poisoned.
Right.
So they can poison you, destroy the planet. Number one, cause of global warming. And
you gonna do this again? You do this every time, Russell.
Cancer, number one cause of all the sickness, and the amount of, I don't know, you eat whatever the fuck you want, nigga.
Yeah. See, it always comes to this. I talk about how much I love him and respect him. You eat whatever you want, nigga. Hey, listen, me and Vlad are going to get a steak after this. I just want to. See that? It always resorts to that.
You get to pick the cow in this restaurant, actually.
It always resorts to this.
It does.
Fuck you, nigga. Wow. I was just telling people how wonderful you were. And now you ruin it by cussing me out because I'm having a hamburger.
I'm going to teach meditation. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go teach meditation.
Go ahead and do that. Hey, warm the grill up. Yeah, that's how I started. And that's black comedy. He was the linchpin of it. But Michael Williams, who could have, it all started at the Comedy Act Theater. And so he wasn't, at that time, I don't think he had the foresight. And because that came to him, he could have done it. He just didn't.
I learned something new today.